Welcome to Codex History of Video Games. I'm Mike Coletta.
And I am Tyler Osby.
And today we're doing something a bit different. So I've had an idea to do this for a little while, and I've never really had anything I've been super passionate about. But we're doing an op-ed today, like a newspaper would, right?
We got
is an opinion
opinions.
piece. This is entirely my opinion. And so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to say my opinion, show my points. Tyler's going to agree, disagree, refute, confirm, deny, whatever words you want to use. And then we're just going to kind of see how it goes. This might be a short one today. That's fine to all you people working out and we don't hit your workout quota. You know, that's just the way it is. You know, what can we say? Okay.
Yeah.
But if you got a 30-minute drive, this might be perfect for you. This might be a perfect thing. So with that, I'm just going to kind of get into it. Okay. So the op-ed piece here and my opinion is you should not buy new consoles at launch. That's my opinion.
Okay. I tend to agree in the sense that everything that is available, generally speaking, everything that is available at launch for a console is, generally speaking, the worst selection that the console is ever going to have. You wait a couple of years,
That's right?
You can play all the games that came out when the console came out and whatever's come out in those 2 years, right?
So this is my patient gamer kind of mindset,
And it's probably cheaper. The hardware's probably been revised to be, maybe have better battery life, or maybe it has a better screen, or maybe they made a smaller version of it or something like that.
Probably cheaper, but I'm already seeing holes in my opinion here because with the tariffs and everything, Xbox is raising their prices, right? So it's technically not cheaper if you want to get an Xbox Series X at a certain point. But anyway, that's beside the point. So this is my opinion, and I've held this opinion now for a while because I did not buy a PlayStation 4, a PlayStation 5, a Xbox Series X. The last new console I bought was actually my Xbox One in 2014, and my Switch is actually refurbished that I got as a gift. So I kind of liked that.
I did get my Switch on day one.
You did?
Yeah.
Day one Switch?
So my quick rebuttal to this is the day one Switches, like the first batch of Switches, are much more hackable than other versions. There's like a lot of different things you can do for later ones, but the original Switches, you buy like a cheap little, like you do it with a paperclip. You can honestly do it for free. And you bridge the two things on the outside where the Joy-Con connects, and then you can load custom firmware on it. Like, so no mod chip, no nothing. It's fully unlocked. Huge oversight on Nintendo's part, or maybe NVIDIA's part, because it's a known part of the Tegra X1 chip that they use inside the Switch too. But anyway, my launch Switch has worked out for me in that sense.
That's cool though. Yeah. So okay. So this is the reason I thought of this, and the reason I wanted to bring it up now is because of all these debacles with the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. And I kind of want to go through each one in case you haven't heard. And some of them are Nintendo's fault. Some of them are not Nintendo's fault. I'm just surprised we're seeing a launch like this coming from Nintendo, especially after the Switch 1. But let's just get into it, okay? So first and foremost, Nintendo warns, this is a CNET article from cnet.com. Nintendo warns Switch 2 owners not to remove protective screen film. So have you heard about this?
This one I have not heard about. Tell me about this.
Okay, so essentially what's going on is, when you get a new console and you peel the plastic off, right, and it feels really good, it's very satisfying.
We love this.
There's another layer of plastic underneath the plastic you peel off that if you peel it off, it could potentially wreck your console if it breaks. Because it's designed to catch shards of the screen if it's broken or dropped.
Oh, okay. So don't peel off this other layer, which is it an OLED screen? I can't remember. There are some OLED screens that have a layer on them that is very peelable if you wanted to do it. That you should not do.
Here's what it says. So this is directly quoting from that CNET article. Quote, according to the official Nintendo Switch 2 safety and instruction manual, the display comes with a, quote, anti-scratching or anti-scattering adhesive film already applied. Its purpose is to prevent shards of glass from scattering in the rare event the screen is damaged. Essentially, it's a safety feature, not packaging or shipping material. So I think, and the reason why this matters, I think, to a lot of people is because they're kind of used to peeling off the layers. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a weird choice. But again, this is very picky, right? So it's not a huge deal. It's just something that's come up. The next thing that I have for Nintendo is also a very silly one that I wanted to include here because I find it funny. It's funny because it didn't happen to us. That's why it's funny.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I should preface it with that. This is a PC Gamer article. A GameStop store has reportedly been stapling customer receipts to Switch 2 boxes and puncturing holes in the screens. Have you heard of this?
No. What?
Okay. So
Is it just
yeah,
one particular store was like,
it's it's one particular GameStop. So it started with Reddit because of course it did, right? It has to, right? But yeah, and it's actually I'm looking at the thread right now, and it says, me and my friend here, we never met before. We're actually at the same GameStop, and this happened to me and another buddy. So it's like every single person that picked up a Switch 2 console from this particular GameStop had their screen punctured.
gosh, the person who was doing that was like, they're like, staple, didn't know that they were ruining consoles. I kind of put a little bit of blame on Nintendo here because this picture of this box here makes it look like that screen is like right there. Like,
Yeah.
it's not very well protected from anything hitting the cardboard box. I'd be worried about stuff happening in shipping.
Yeah. So there's that too, which is like an issue. Do not remember any launch being this weird. Do you? Can you think of a launch being this weird?
There have definitely been weird launches. I'm trying to think back to the last like weird launch where stuff was like this. About it's got.
I mean, we have the Red Ring of Death from Xbox 360. That's the most,
that was not really
that
a
wasn't
launch
really
issue.
a launch. It's just like 6 months to a year later it started.
Yeah, that was.
But it was a problem with the launch versions of the consoles.
Yeah,
So that's kind of why I want to consider it a launch issue. But we'll talk about that like in a bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of there definitely have been things that had poor launches, like hardware things that have had poor launches, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
There's just a lot of problems. Maybe it's just because it's
Yeah.
in the spotlight too, because it's the only console coming out right now too.
I
and it's
feel like
in the spotlight.
This particular thing with the staples to the screen is not like a don't buy the console brand new thing, because it's like it's an issue. I think I do put some blame on Nintendo for messing up where they like how they package these things. Like it's clearly not very well protected in there. But this could have happened at any point, in a console's lifespan. If it's unprotected like this, I wouldn't say this is like a launch issue. It's just an issue that happened at launch, if that makes sense. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
any other place, if you bought a PlayStation 5 that like that had been ruined in this same way, wouldn't even make news. It would just be like, oh, I guess that Best Buy messed up.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
The only
It's
reason
because
this makes any news at all is because people are looking for reasons to be happy they didn't manage to get a pre-order of a Switch 2. That's what I think.
That's good. Yeah, so that one was just kind of a funny one.
It is pretty funny though. Yeah,
yeah, it is pretty funny. If it's not us, it's funny, right?
that's right.
So
well, and I'm
the
sure those people
last-
got their stuff fixed up.
Well, I don't know because there aren't replacements because they're like sold out. So
Oh well, hopefully GameStop will
they're
do
gonna
something.
get their stuff replaced.
They-
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
they
it's
gotta.
probably going to be. That's probably grounds for like a class action lawsuit with every single person that went to that
Yeah.
Best Buy, right? So,
Yeah, and that's a
or not
huge
Best
bummer.
Buy, GameStop. Sorry.
It's a huge bummer for not just to be unable to play your thing that you got too. That sucks.
Yeah. So the last thing with the Switch 2 that made me kind of think about this whole op-ed is this story from Shack News, and the title is "What Are Nintendo Game Key Cards?" And I'm just going to kind of sum up reading this article and what I've also read elsewhere from what the game key card is. So essentially, the game key card is a cartridge that goes into your Nintendo Switch, and it does not have the actual game on it. What it has is a code for you to download the game from the Nintendo store. So you put the cartridge in, and it automatically starts downloading the game onto your Switch. That's what's happening. And Nintendo says it's for space for third-party developers because their games wouldn't fit on the key cards. Not all games are game key cards. There are still some games that you pay for that have the game on them in like loaded, pre-installed, right? But this is just something new that's going on with the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's something that as we move away from physical games media of you owning a game that just I can't stop thinking about, right? Like I can't get over this that you don't own your games anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't like, and this is coming from a guy who uses Steam all the time. I am a hypocrite. I don't own my games on Steam, right? I don't own them.
Yeah, well, there's no way to
license.
own a PC game in that sense anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Except for good old games, I guess, because you can download it and put it on a flash drive, and like now you have a DRM free version of that game. Right?
Yeah. Well, and if you know what you're doing, you can find a DRM free version of your Steam games too.
You want to sail the 7 Seas, which we don't promote,
which we don't condone, of course,
on this podcast. But yeah, so I just and again, like it's not a big deal. Almost everyone has an internet connection, right? But I'm going to tell you this as someone who grew up in Alaska and his family that still live there, their internet's still capped, right? Like they still have a limit to how much they can use in a month period. Or if you're someone that lives kind of in a small town with bad or no internet and you try to download your Switch game, it's not going to work or it's going to take forever. Like these are things that I know they're being upfront, but in a world of people who I know don't read everything about the products they buy, right? This is going to cause problems. I just feel like it's going to cause problems. And I'm like, it's again, this is kind of hard because I never want to say like a definitive thing, but I am very much in the camp and I'm committing to it of you should not buy a launch console. And it's because, like you said, the main reason is what you said before. Every version after this will be the better version. Yeah. They're going to figure stuff out. Like that's the main reason why. I got an Xbox 360, I think in 2000. When did the Xbox 360 come out? It was like 05?
05, yeah. November.
And so I got my Xbox 360 in 2008, and I never had a red ring issue. I never had a problem with it. In fact, I would say it's one of the best consoles I ever bought because I never noticed problems with it. And that's because I waited and I bought it late.
Yeah. I got mine in 07 and I did have a red ring problem with it.
Yeah. See, and I have an issue.
That was
also.
2 years later too. They didn't even fix that one right away.
Yeah, dude. I have another thing I just thought of too. That a reason not to get a console at launch. It's because of my hatred of FOMO marketing. I hate it. Destiny does this. We've talked about Destiny and how they do FOMO for their like marketing. Like you got to play the game now or play the game every day so you can get this thing before it goes away. Like every game does that, right? I think Fortnite does that too. But I don't want that being transferred over into my day-to-day life of things I buy, right? And it's upsetting to me that that's been done like with this Switch 2, like because you got to get your pre-order in. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You got to get it in. Otherwise, you're not going to get one because there's not going to be enough. But it's like, it's just a frustrating thing. So that's my opinion piece is that we should not have that. So I want to know what you think about this, Tyler.
I disagree. I think you make a lot of great points that I do agree with. I disagree with the conclusion of never buy a launch console because I think there's a lot of fun and value in being in part of like the initial conversations when a console comes out.
Like the hype. Like
playing those games when they first came out. As a patient gamer myself, I sometimes miss out on a lot of the conversations that happen when games are brand new. And like, cause games are like $80, $90 now. And I don't want to spend that much money on them. So I don't buy a lot of games right away. This is why Game Pass is awesome, but that's another discussion. Yeah. But you find yourself not part of like the discussion. And you know, I work at a video game company. So like everybody around me is always talking about games. And so maybe this is like a problem that I deal with a little bit more intensely than other people do. But like it not being able to participate in those conversations feels bad. I still wait on a lot of games, but that's one point for buying it right away. I also think the hardware thing that I mentioned, because
the hackability,
right?
First
because
version.
Yes,
that's a really good point.
It's a double-edged sword of like, yeah, they're going to update the hardware to be better in a lot of ways, but they are going to close those holes. And as a person who enjoys hacking on consoles and using the thing that I bought in the way that I want to use it, I am in favor of that kind of stuff. And so I will often oftentimes the earlier revisions of a console are the ones that are hackable.
And we can prove that too. I mean, it was a lot easier to mod my 1.1 motherboard original Xbox when I looked at the instructions for like a 1.6, for example.
Yeah.
So that's true. That's like very much, if you're looking to mod, you want to get that first version.
Yeah, and that's true of like the Xbox 360 as well. There's different stuff you have to do if you have a later revision. There actually the latest revision, the Winchester motherboard, is actually completely you cannot install a mod chip in it. There's just no way at this
on the 360?
At this point in time on 360. Yeah.
Wow. Yet.
Yeah. Yet. I mean, I say that all of the previous methods have been adaptable to newer consoles, and this one has evaded it thus far.
Life finds a way, Tyler.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's gonna hack the Xbox 360 Winston motherboard.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I think it's a vanishingly small proportion of Xbox motherboards, and Xboxes are cheap enough that like if you want one to hack, like you can just get one that's hackable. And also the Winchester motherboard I think came out after the Xbox One came out. It's the later motherboard revision of the latest version of the 360, which is like kind of looks like an Xbox One anyway. So it's like I think it's a very small group of people that bought this like 2014 version of the Xbox 360. So maybe it won't just because there's not a lot of interest in it, but anyway, that's true about it is that it's not hackable. So
yeah, I am taking a hard stance. I know I am. By saying never, I'm opening myself up for criticism, but I think that's a good thing in this case because I truly will not buy. I love Xbox. I'm not buying any Xbox console for the rest of my life day one launch. I don't care. I'm not doing it.
Well, I don't even think they want you to at this point, the way that they're pushing every
PC baby.
PC baby.
I mean, that's my closing argument is that really, I'm looking into the camera when I say this, we should all be playing on PC. Okay. I know that it's not like some people like the ease of a console and they like the way that you can plug a console into the TV and it just kind of works. And I get that, but it's cheaper. I'm convinced in the long run to play on PC. It's cheaper in the long run. Like I have not updated in a long time and I can still play most modern games, right? Like it's not a problem. And so I think that it's just kind of showing too that the days of consoles are like, they're not ending, but they're just merging with PC, right?
At least on the Xbox side, that is 100% true. And I guess you're right on the PlayStation side as well, because a lot of their games have been coming to PC strategically several years later. But
I could see Sony, moving towards it too, of being like, hey, it's just another place to sell your games, make more money. That's the way it is. I'm actually surprised they don't have some weird, dumb version of their PlayStation Store.
They absolutely do, and it made a lot of people mad when they brought it out because they were requiring PlayStation. Like if you bought Spider-Man 2 on Steam, they required you to sign into like their PlayStation Store, which made a lot of people unhappy. They may have walked it back. I can't remember exactly if they walked it back or not, but like it made a lot of people unhappy because
Xbox, the Game Pass interface, you still have to do that, which I am like, I know, even though that works for me, I'm still like, yeah, this is dumb, right? Like, what happened to the days of just having a shortcut on your desktop? You just click on it, knowing it's installed. Yeah, but it's installed locally. It's not like you own it. It's like a disc. You own the thing. That's what is upsetting to me, right? Like, I want to own the thing. I want to take
it back to the game key cards a little bit because one thing to explore here for us to talk about, I think, is I think that they are putting a label on something that they had been doing on the Switch, the original Switch, and Microsoft and Sony do this too, where you get a disc that has nothing on it, and then it just downloads the rest of the game. And there are a significant number of Switch games that come on the bare bones, like the smallest size cartridge that Nintendo sells. That's part of it, is like the larger cartridges are like more expensive for the manufacturers, and Nintendo of course takes their cut because they make them. They've been doing this since the NES days. So they will ship the bare minimum on a game card, and then you have to download the rest. Like Final Fantasy X and X-2, that's like a package game you can buy on the Switch. X-2 is not on the cartridge. You got to download it. It's just straight up not on the cartridge. And I think there are other games. I want to say like Doom does this, or there are other games that's like there's literally nothing on the cartridge, but it just downloads the game to the console. So the advantage here being that, like, yeah, you still have to download the game, but at least I can like give this game key card to my friend and then they can download the game and play it. Like I can loan my game out or I can sell it back to a store, like buy it used or whatever. So there's value there. But it does feel kind of bad. And so what they're doing here is when they say this is a game key card, you are going to have to download it. It is actually a step up from what they were doing before, where they just wouldn't say that this is what was happening. So I don't love it overall, but this is a better version of what they were doing. So that's good.
They're being more transparent. So I got really fired up when I first heard about this because I was fully convinced it meant you couldn't share games with friends. And I want to put it on the record here that it is not true. You can share game key cards with friends and they'll just be able to download the game. So it's good in that way. Like you can resell your games technically still. So that's nice at least. I mean, that's probably what's keeping GameStop alive. So you got to do that.
Yeah, at this point. There for a while there, I want to say GameStop had a lot of leverage over these manufacturers being like, hey, look, you can't go fully digital because we need to be able to sell these games. And GameStop was such a large portion of sales for Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo that it was like, we can't ice them out, right? Because GameStop would be like, look, we're just going to not carry Xbox games then, if that's what you're going to do. We're just not going to carry them at all. And then Microsoft would lose out on all those sales, which I guess they must have run the numbers and we're like, we can't lose the GameStop sales. And Walmart could do the same thing. Like any of these like retail companies could do the same thing. Like they could all get mad. If Walmart did that, it'd be huge. That'd be really bad for Nintendo, for Sony or Microsoft. So,
yeah, I just think digital distribution is like the way it's going, and it's just going to be instead, like you said, like you're going to go into a Walmart, you're going to buy a box, you open it up, it's got a key or whatever. Like that's what you're doing, right? So that you can still sell a physical product at the store. Like I remember buying Destiny for PC with you in Los Angeles, buying Destiny 2, and I opened up the box and I'm like, this is just a code.
Yeah.
I still have the box too. I thought it was kind of neat to keep it as a weird piece of gaming history.
Yeah, there's some there's a case to be made that's like, especially a game like Destiny, where it's like, look, between manufacturing and when the game like actually is turned on, the servers and stuff, like there's a large lead time there. Say it takes a month, right? You got to release a game to manufacturing, it takes a month for them to print the discs, whatever. Like they are updating and fixing and patching the game in that month, and I think that's a good thing. I think they should do that. Especially for a live service game like Destiny, where there is no way to ship just a final product, right? It is constantly evolving. That's the nature of the game. And so I guess maybe you could shortcut some download time if you had included, 8 gigs worth of the game on a DVD. But that's the other thing for PC games is like, okay, you get a dual layer DVD. First of all, nobody has a drive in their computer at all anymore. Second of all, it's an 8 gigabyte thing of a game that's 150 gigs to download. Like that's meaningless to ship me 8.5 gigs, right? You're certainly not shipping it on a Blu-ray because more people have no disk drive than they have Blu-ray drives, right?
It's true.
So on PC land, like that ship has sailed a long time ago, especially for live service games. I can say,
without a doubt, as a person that's owned an Xbox One since 2014, I have used the Blu-ray player maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe at least the games come on Blu-ray, so you can ostensibly have like 100 gigs worth of a game there.
Yeah, I mean, yes, not counting games, but like watching a movie with a Blu-ray movie, it's like 3 times max. Yeah. So I guess games are a different story because I do have discs for games, so that's the case. But
yeah, but even then, 100 gigs worth of a game, like if it's Call of Duty, that game's like 250 gigs. These things are huge, right? That's not a huge dent. And I haven't run the numbers on this, so this is just quick in my head right now. I bet, depending on your internet speed, but I know you got that good internet.
Good.
You got that gigabit. I got 300 meg download, which is pretty fast. I bet downloading the game from the internet is faster than copying it off of a Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a quick operation.
Yeah, because it's all your processing power, right? It's how good your CPU is to do that.
Just physics. How fast can the disk spin?
Oh, that's true too. Yeah. So it's not even just your CPU; it's disk spinning. It's physical hardware spinning.
Yeah,
which I kind of miss. I mean, that's the problem.
What is the data rate of a
nostalgia. Well, isn't it? Well, I mean, that's the spin rate is like 7,200 RPM on a newer disk drive, right?
That's on a hard drive. I'm just wondering how like Blu-ray 4K
spin rate
drive speed. Yeah. Read speed. Let's see. They can support data. Okay, 128 megabits. That's the data rate for the video. But how fast?
Did you like transfer a file from it? You mean?
Yeah. How fast can I transfer a file from it?
Data transfer speeds for Blu-ray.
The transfer. Yeah, there. That's what I'm looking for. You're right. Data transfer speed Blu-ray, and it's probably different depending on. For Blu-ray discs, 1x speed. This is very quick from Wikipedia. 1x speed is defined as 36 megabits per second.
That seems low.
That's 1x speed. So if you got an 8x drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
36, take 36 times 8, which is, I don't know, 400 or 500 megabits per second. So
that's pretty quick,
competitive.
Man.
But if you're downloading a game on gigabit, it's not that fast.
Mm-hmm. True. If you're hitting that number, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think,
but that does require you to have an internet connection. And part of what we loved about the physical media is like maybe you don't need an internet connection. But for a game like Destiny, you're not playing a game without internet. Like that, the point of that game is to be online. So
yeah, I think that's also what bothers people is people want to play their Switch games without the internet and say you don't have access to the internet regularly, which I know for a lot of people that might seem like crazy in 2025, but there are people that don't. Like that's just the fact of it, you know? And if you want to play games, you should be able to play those games without an internet connection. So that's why the game key card thing bugs me. It doesn't bug me that, I mean, it does bug me that it seems like they're leaning towards what's to stop them from saying you can't share your game key cards with friends, because they can do that. They could make it a one-time use thing, you know, kind of like how they made your Switch. If you bought a copy of a game on your Switch and you bought another Switch, you have to buy the game again, right? Switch 2, you can transfer your stuff over, I've heard, which is nice.
Yeah, I think that's not true with the original Switch. I think you can, if you move your Nintendo account over, you can
do that?
Yeah, I think it's a pain. Like I think they really only want you to have one Switch, but I think you can move them back and forth. That's good. We should look into that. But
okay, because I know with like, for example, Animal Crossing, you can have like one island, right? And that's all you can have on the. Well, you can have more people on it, but you have to have one person who's like the primary island owner. So. Yeah,
okay. I don't know about.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the game, but I think really the thing and the reason behind this whole opinion piece for me is and in a perfect world, I think people would speak with their wallets with this kind of thing to tell companies what is and is not okay. And we're just kind of leaning more and more towards people saying, I want, which, I mean, that's the nature of capitalism, right? So what can you do there? But I think if we as a group of collective gamers, for lack of a better term,
gamers rise up.
Yeah. wanted to like actually say to these companies like, hey, enough with the FOMO marketing, enough with the whole, we're going to like run out, or you're putting out products or games even that aren't ready. We have to like speak with our wallet like this. And, I mean, I think the start is with launch consoles.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
What I find frustrating about, because you're right, like it's like if enough people say, no, we don't want this, then things can change. I absolutely agree with that. What I find frustrating is that I think the people that get upset about this kind of thing, that do vote with their wallets, it's a very small number. Like the kind of people it's you and me. It's probably a lot of the people listening right now. The vast majority of people don't care.
They don't even think about
they're
it.
like, oh, there's a Switch 2 now? Sweet.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. They don't, and it's not. I should also mention, like, if you go buy a day one console, like if you bought a Switch 2, congrats. Like, awesome. You got one. That's cool. But like, this is just my overall gaming philosophy is that I do not buy consoles on launch. And I wanted to make an argument for it today. And that's what I feel like I did. I feel like I made a compelling argument.
I think you did. I
and you refuted with some good refuting points.
Refusions? Is that a
refusions?
Word?
Yeah, I think
refusion.
So. Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Cold refusion. That's what you're doing right now.
Cold refusion. That's
cold
the name of our podcast now.
Oh, it is.
Cold refusion.
It's definitely not infinite bits. Whoever took that, looking into the camera at you so you know. Okay. Someone took it.
They're listening right now.
They're listening right now.
Laughing.
Do we want to talk about like kind of a thing we want to do with this podcast? What we were talking about before we started recording? Should we talk about it? I think we should, because we want to gauge interest, right?
Yeah.
Before we do the what you've been playing segment, we should do this.
Yeah, I want to gauge some interest from folks who are listening. So please send us an email. What's our email? Codex History Podcast.
Codex History Podcast at gmail.com, or go on our Discord and post there, or find us on Facebook. I don't know.
I will not. If you find me on Facebook, it won't work. I'm sorry.
I gave out Tyler's Facebook to everyone.
I mean, that's fine. You can do that, but you won't. I won't respond. I most Facebook things are deactivated.
Find Tyler on Friendster. That's where he is.
If you find me on Friendster, it's not me.
I found Tyler's live journal, and I am now posting a comment on Tyler's live journal.
No, don't talk about it.
Did you have a live journal? I never did.
No, I never had a live journal, but I did know a lot of people that did.
If you had a live journal, email us, codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com.
So anyway, we want to hear from you in whatever format you want to send it to. But we're thinking about doing like a newsy podcast, like where we talk about the news of the week and our opinions on it and how we feel and what the trends in the industry are.
Video gaming news.
Yes,
general
of course.
News.
Yeah, not real news.
We don't want to jump into that quagmire, okay?
No, absolutely not. But we do want to talk about video game news, and I think we have opinions on that news, and maybe people appreciate those opinions. I'm not sure. That's why I want to ask you, do you care? And you're all listening to a history podcast right now, so maybe you don't care about news at all, but I just want to gauge the interest there.
Yeah, so and there's multiple ways we could do it. We could like make a whole new podcast that is just gaming news, or we could do like one episode a month is gaming news and the other 3 are history style still. Like, so it's just kind of a way to gauge interest, to see what we want to do, because we've been talking about this for a while. We like to spice it up, do different things. So that's kind of our thought process behind it. So if you have thoughts, send us an email, write us on Discord. And with that, Tyler, what you been playing?
Well, I strategically saved this one for you after you told me the subject here and what your opinion was going to be, because I managed to procure.
You got a Switch 2. Wow, this whole time you didn't even tell me. That is so funny.
Didn't even tell you, but ahead of time here. Yeah, a friend of mine managed to like get another one, because he's always he usually manages to get a pre-order of things. He's very good at figuring out how to do that, and then sometimes he gets like multiple. And so he's like, "Hey, I got an extra one. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Well, sure. Yeah, okay." So I got a Switch 2. I got the Mario Kart bundle. I haven't played Mario Kart yet, but I did download the Bravely Default remake, and I played that for about an hour last night. And it's Bravely Default, so it's just a 3DS game that's been remade for Switch. But it's fun, and that's about all I've done with it so far. I transferred all my stuff from my original Switch, and I'll probably play some Mario Kart tonight.
How was that process of transferring stuff from your original Switch? Was it hard, do you think? I don't know anything about it. I'm just curious.
No, it was actually extremely easy. You sign into your Nintendo account on your new Switch, and then it's like, okay, bring your old Switch over here, and you have to plug them both in, which was kind of a pain because I had
to like turn them both on. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they had to both be attached to the outlet, or they complained about it. But then I did that. It did take a while for my original Switch to boot up. I think maybe its battery might be going, again, it's a launch Switch, so battery might be not great on the original. I had to leave it charging for a while before it would actually boot up, which was kind of a bummer. But I mean, that thing's almost 10 years old, so I don't begrudge Nintendo about that. But yeah, otherwise it was a pretty easy process. Not a lot to report on that front. The screen on the Switch 2 is so much bigger. I like it sometimes. Other times I'm like, this thing is not really as portable as it used to be, as the original Switch, which is a little bit of a bummer. And I don't love the trend of like bigger and bigger screens on gaming devices like this. Or I wish they sold like a smaller version. Maybe they'll do a Switch 2 Lite, probably. I don't know. But I do like that the dock has Ethernet built in. The original Switch did not have Ethernet built in. You could use a USB Ethernet thing, anything that was compatible with the Wii U, because you could do USB Ethernet on a Wii U also. That worked on a Switch, so I had one of those, so it's like not a big deal. But it's built into the new dock, which is kind of nice. The new Joy-Cons are cool. They are not different enough in my mind to justify being incompatible with the original Joy-Cons, which is kind of a bummer. But that they're cool anyway, I guess. I haven't done any of the mouse stuff with them. Maybe that's cool enough. But yeah,
you use it as like a mouse. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm doing a mouse act out. You can't see it's out of frame, but I'm doing a really good mouse act out right now.
Yeah, I can tell. It's extremely realistic.
Thank you so much.
I kind of got it sort of on the impulse of like, hey, this is available. Do you want it? And I kind of was just like, yeah, because I am like you. I was like, I don't need this thing on launch. Mario Kart looks neat. Some other games look neat. Once it's been out for a little while, fine. But then I got the opportunity, so I took it.
Well, here is my understanding, because I asked a friend who got one, and I thought Mario Kart was going to be kind of like Forza Horizon, where it's like way more open world. And it's got a little bit of that, but it's not as open as Forza Horizon, which kind of bummed me out a little bit.
Yeah, so, I haven't played it yet.
But I mean, it's probably Mario Kart. It's probably great. It's Mario Kart. Like, it's going to be fun, right? Mario Kart's fun. I think we can all agree that. So, but once I heard that, I was like, okay, now my whole like FOMO feeling is kind of going away, because I was excited about the idea of like a truly open world Mario Kart. I thought that was a really cool idea. So like Forza Mario Kart, but yeah, that's not a thing, I guess. So, but I do think it's very funny that you withheld this information from me for the last hour. I think it's very funny.
That was,
and I'm including the time before we started recording. Tyler did not tell me until just now that he got a Switch too. That's fantastic, man.
Otherwise, I did finish Expedition 33 finally. So moving on from that to Bravely Default. I do need to get back into Metaphor, but because the Switch 2 presented itself, I was like, well, I better play something on this. So I started up Bravely Default, which is fun. It's what Final Fantasy would have been if it continued being exactly the same after Final Fantasy V.
Nice. Well, I'm happy.
Yeah, what have you been playing?
That's cool. I've been playing Doom: The Dark Ages. So I actually went back. I haven't beaten the game because I was decided to go back and get all the secrets and the levels I missed, because I like that about Doom. I enjoy doing that in Doom. So I'm on mission like 13, which I've like 20 something. It's like 22, I think. So I'm like halfway through. Been playing that, but I also started Elden Ring. I almost said Dark Souls. I started Elden Ring, and I'm playing it in seamless co-op mod. That's what I'm doing, because my friends were playing it and it looked really fun, and we're Steam Brothers, Tyler, so I was able to play it. So through Steam Brothers. Did you know that?
Wait, did I buy Elden Ring?
I don't think so. I think your brother bought.
Oh, my brother must have bought Elden Ring.
The other Steam brother bought Elden Ring. So I was able to play this seamless co-op mod with it, and it really, don't get me wrong, it's still hard. You still die, but it really trivializes boss fights if you're all leveled correctly, because it's like you can run away and heal and someone else takes the aggro, and it's a different game, right? But it's still like a really fun world to run around in, and I'm enjoying that. And it's also it's really funny how ugly the bosses are. They're just so like gruesome and ugly and grotesque, and it makes me laugh how ugly they are. Like, how many arms does something need? How many arms does something need? But I loved it. So that's what I've been playing. And I'll beat Doom: The Dark Ages hopefully this week. That's my goal. And then before we go, I want to mention that next week will be a re-release because I am on a trip. I will be gone and we cannot record. We don't have time, unfortunately. So next week will be a re-release. Then we'll come back the week after, hopefully to just jump right back into Jacked, the History of Grand Theft Auto again, which I'm digging that book, but I wanted to kind of switch it up this week. I wanted to kind of change it up. So
yeah,
let
try
us know
something
what you
else.
think.
Let us know what you think of this format, because that's another thing that I am interested in exploring is like, what if we did some more deeply researched like audio essay versions of gaming?
Yeah,
things.
I think doing a more produced audio essay would be fun to do
on opinion stuff like this.
On opinion stuff, like
yeah,
because I mean we kind of we pulled the Switch the Switch 2 news stories, right? But we didn't really go that much deeper into it. But maybe we could have guests on to talk about topics like this. That'd be kind of neat. So I just kind of want to know what people think. Also, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, send us an email. Let me know. Like, that would be a cool thing to do, and that would help us out. Also, just tell your friends about us. I say that every episode, but it really does help just to have new people listening or joining the Discord and keeping the conversation going. So with that, I think we're going to call it there today. Tyler, would you like to say goodbye to everybody?
I would like to say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, everybody.